Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And many of you have sent me emails recently in the last few days asking why did At&T stock take such a hit? And the day that happened, I immediately checked and I did some research and I saw that Morgan Stanley downgraded At&T in the short term. Now, why are they doing this? The stock took a drastic hit based on this grade. So recently, Verizon received a buy from some pretty big analysts. So their stock price target is now set at almost $70 per share. While AT&T's, according to Morgan Stanley, they're saying this is a downgrade. Now, again, I'm no financial advisor, but Morgan Stanley believes now that the auction of C-band is actually in action, and we are seeing now that it's 4 or 5 rounds per day, and the price of the auction is increasing by $4 billion each day. They feel that AT&T is completely constrained by their balance sheet to compete in this auction. So what does that mean? Is AT&T completely dropping out? Do they not get as much spectrum as anticipated? And I think the spectrum amount that was anticipated is the right answer here. I don't think any carrier gets nationwide based on the auction price now. This is a very, very expensive auction. So many had anticipated that AT&T to spend between 7 to 10 billion to get 100 megahertz nationwide. I don't see that happening now. The auction price is way too high. Some of the internal analysts' reports that I've seen, so each company, they get internal reports sent to them from analysts that the companies pay for. And they're anticipating that Verizon, once it's all said and done with the relocation costs, which are driving the auction price to 52 cents per pop, they are anticipating Verizon, once it's all said and done, to spend between 23 to 25 billion on this spectrum. That is very expensive if you think about the additional resources that it's going to cost them to roll this spectrum out. So there's an additional capital that's going to have to get invested after the fact on new panels, new radios, maybe increasing the fiber in some areas. All of that is considered an increase. Now, the fiber, of course, that's part of the operational. That doesn't come out of the CapEx, but it's still an increase regardless. So Morgan Stanley feels that AT&T doesn't have enough on its balance sheet to fully compete to get what they really set out. So the option B was that they gave that AT&T to compete conservatively and only bid more aggressive in the markets where they really need the spectrum, like Dallas, New York, LA, Chicago, some of the much, much bigger markets in the top 46. So even though all the markets in the top 46 are important, AT&T probably bid even more strategically, really breaking it down to the market share, and do we really need this much spectrum in this market? I think that's how they really broke it down. So they bid very conservatively. I knew they had money, but the balance sheet for AT&T is a bit constrained. They can't spend as much as Verizon. Verizon's balance sheet is much better. They were much better positioned for this. And the fact that the relocation cost is so high also set back all the carriers as well from potentially getting a nationwide slice. So I don't think any carrier gets nationwide here. I think they spend very conservatively across, because you got to remember there's 100 markets to bid in. The top 46 clear first. That is the A block. The B, C, D block, those clear in 2023. But you still want to bid in those markets as well, because you may have some solid market share like Verizon here in El Paso. El Paso is the 57th market, so it does fall out of the top 46, but Verizon has close to 40% market share here. So they still want to bid a solid amount in this market as well. because they have solid market share. And I'm sure, 60 through 70, 70 through 80, 80 through 90, 90 through 100, Verizon has some of those markets as well where they have solid market share. So they still have to keep those markets in mind as well. So that's kind of why that happened. That's why AT&T took a drastic hit on the stock, because they received downgrades that the balance sheet is constraining them from really, really competing heavily and aggressively and turning this into a bidding war. Now, I can guarantee you in the areas of LA, New York, Dallas, Oklahoma City, places like that, AT&T probably did go through a bidding war. They probably did spike the price, because in those markets, it's very important for them to gain that spectrum, because those are their dominant markets in market share. San Antonio, Houston as well. Those are their dominant markets. AT&T is very strong on that side of Texas. So they needed to really strategize on how they invest into this auction. They weren't able to freely just bid crazy and spend crazy amounts of money. That just wasn't going to happen because they're too constrained, whereas Verizon was in a much better position to do so. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Is this kind of throwing you guys off that the auction now all of a sudden is so expensive? It's way more expensive. It's shooting far past what the analysts have anticipated everyone spending. They thought AT&T would get 100 megahertz at like 7.2 billion. That's not happening. I can guarantee it. That's not happening. This auction is going up 4 to 5 billion every day. The FCC, they want this auction done. They're going up on the amount of rounds that are happening per day. The way this is going, I don't see this lasting past January, and I think around February, March, we will know what the auction holdings are per carrier, and we will see what markets they won, and we will see what it looks like on a nationwide scale. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. If you have been on the channel, or you are new to the channel and you have not yet liked, share, subscribe, make sure you do so. Hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload content. Also, follow the social media outlets for more updates, more interaction. The Twitter, the Instagram will be in the description down below. I am posting pictures of the N41 rollout on Instagram, and more interaction in the videos are going on Twitter. Thanks again for watching. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.